Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up and maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, in the description box below, very top link, takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link. Takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, it's it's like the 8 crazy days of Hanukkah, right? There's always something going on in the NFL, and they I'm sure they do it on purpose, right? But they do such a good job of it. I really got to give them credit. I mean, it truly is literally, it's round the clock job. It's it's not like, I mean, it was. This is around like back in high school, right? I mean, the high school, the football coaches, right? They, would obviously have you out there in August, and you'd be playing football September, October, and whatever. I mean, and after that, I mean, I'm going back into the 70s. After that, they packed everything up, and maybe they'd watch a little bit of film here and there and stuff like that. But I mean, after our Thanksgiving Day game. I mean, it was like football was over with, for months. But I mean, it ain't like that. Obviously, in college, it ain't like that in the pros. I mean, I'm sure in some of the bigger areas like Texas and stuff like that, where high school football is just, crazy. I'm sure it's more of a round the clock kind of thing. But in the pros, I mean, it really is. It's all year long. I said there's 4 or 5 weeks there. From like middle of June, middle of July, where it's like, you're kind of off and everybody's supposed to, take time off and go on vacation or whatever like that and stuff. So, but I mean, I tell you, I mean, I said the NFL does a fantastic job. I mean, obviously December, we got football, then January, we got football, and then playoffs. February rolls around, we got the Super Bowl. And then we got by the end of the month, we got the combine. And then when February rolls around, obviously we got the pro days, right? Which gets spread out because everybody can't have their pro day the same day, right? So the pro days are all spread out. But then, of course, a couple of weeks we got free agency. I mean, it's just that like mind blowing. 2 weeks, about 2 weeks. Free agency. Of course, because you have the legal tampering period, which is that Monday, and then you got Wednesday, like 4 o'clock, I think it is in the afternoon. That's when the official New Year starts. But of course, the legal if you got the ESPN app or the NFL app or whatever like that, Monday, things just starts blowing up. So and so has come to terms with this team. So and so has come to terms with it. I mean, it's just crazy. It really is crazy. So, I mean, NFL does a fantastic job of that. They're always feeding you something. So it's really wonderful. And I don't even really mind that little bit of a layoff from June to July. It gives you a little bit of a breather. But when they come back, it's like 4 or 5 weeks. It's on, right? Training camp, preseason games, and then we're off and running once again. It's crazy. Really, really is crazy. But the combine's starting. Is it? Oh, still Wednesday here in the Eastern Coast. So combine starts tomorrow. All right, so I always got four big days. Obviously, with Shane and Dable, they got a lot of work to do. Not only Shane and Dable, but the cast of probably trillions of people that they brought with them to the combine. They got a lot of work to do. I mean, obviously, I don't know who it was, but you see stories. The Giants spoke with Stafford's representatives there. A lot of things. What is it? Shane was going to go around probably and talk to like all the other 31 teams, whoever's in charge, right? One thing he was saying, and we're probably going to want to hitting up on this in just a bit. Talking to all the other teams as far as, hey, if you're thinking about moving up to number 3, let us know. So he's got to make his runs, with all the other teams. I guess he did last year. We heard on Hard Knocks, right? He was trying to, trying to make a call into the Patriots, right? I mean, they were going to want a haul, and rightfully so. I mean, the draft class last year with the quarterback talent that there was. I mean, we knew Williams, pretty good chance was going number 1, but so as far as when New England, they had their pick of any other quarterback, and it looked like, I'll tell you what, some of those teams really did well, without question. I don't think there was any chance in HEL double hockey sticks that the Commanders are going to trade with the Giants, and we could have jumped up and got Jaden Daniels. Probably wouldn't happen. We'll give you 37 first-round picks. No. So it is what it is, right? But so the combine's going. So they got their work cut out for them. It'll be interesting to see. One thing I was with Big Blue Kickoff Live was Schmelke, John Schmelk. Actually, I think I might have a little bit more hair than he does. Not much, because I ain't got much up there. But he was talking about, like, obviously with the quarterbacks, one thing he was talking about. But at the time that he was talking about it, they didn't know if Ward was going to throw, Sanders who's going to throw. It's always one of those things, right? We just don't know, And one of the things Shane was also talking about too was, we'll get to this in a little bit. He doesn't blame the quarterbacks, doesn't downgrade them or nothing like that for not wanting to throw at the combine. He said, because you're throwing. I mean, you don't know the guys. You just don't know. The guys expected to run an in cut or whatever, right? Or a go or an out or whatever. May not be the guy's strong suit, right? Yeah, you don't know when does a guy break. Does he really break down and go out, or does he kind of loop it out a little bit like that? I mean, does a guy like the ball up top? Does he in his chest? And you don't know. You don't know. I mean, so you can throw the ball and the guy can drop. Guys can drop passes. You think you might be leading the guy a little bit, and the guy could just be, just not come out of the break as quick, and you're leading, you're leading them, and you just lead them too far, because you don't know how the guy does, running his routes, and so therefore it looks bad on you. So, but I'm sure if Ward and Sanders, they have their pro days, the Giants will be there. So, but anyway, one of the things is that the Giants took a step back, right? They took a step back, which is not always the best thing. I mean, sometimes, to get good talent in here, get good free agents in here. Now, of course, sometimes it's always all about the Benjamins, right? I mean, you could play on a field full of broken glass. Like every square inch is a broken beer bottle. Just the broken points are sticking straight up, and if you walk on it, it's going to go through your foot, and you're gonna you throw enough money out there. I would like playing for the Giants. So that's got to do with the Benjamins, but most has got to do with the Benjamins. Right? Sometimes there's the intangibles, right? And apparently the Giants just taking a little bit of a step backwards, which sometimes is obviously not the best thing in the world to have happen. Now, last year, I think the Giants were, if I read the article. I think they were 8th last year, which isn't bad. Top 10, can't complain. This year they plummeted, so to speak. So we got NFLPA survey shows the New York Giants are falling behind. Giants apparently need to do more than field a better team. Are the Giants a good, well-run franchise? We know the results of the field haven't been good, but what do players and their families think of the facilities, their treatment, and more? If you believe the annual NFPLA Report Card, the Giants are falling behind not only on the field, but off of it, which is not very good. Giants ranked number 8. Okay, it was. Okay, number 8 overall last year. Not bad. You can't complain, right? This year, however, the Giants fell to number 20 overall among the league's 32 teams. Players were asked to grade the franchise in 11 categories. Let's go through each of them. Treatment of families. Giants got a C, which ranks 21st. Giants provide daycare during home games and began providing a family room during home games this past season. Players feel that communication and engagement between the team and their significant others or families need improvement. So, you're a multi-quadrillion-dollar organization, right? You hire people, right? And the leading up to the game, what you do is you have whatever. Whatever. I don't know. If you have one person call all the families, or you have 2 or 3 people call all the, you call each family up, especially maybe the wives or whatever, are you guys coming to the game? What time are you gonna, how are you getting here? Are you gonna need transportation in? Can we pick you up at the airport? Can we, whatever you got to do, right? If it costs you whatever, a few $1,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, whatever it is to get people, you to taxi people in, pick up with a limo, whatever you got to do, right? It's only 8, for the home games. It's only like, sometimes 8 games a year, right? If you said you got to send a limo to each freaking person to bring them in, that's what you pick them up and drop them off. That's what you got to do. That's what you do. Giants, last time I checked, were at $7.3 billion. That's with a B. Right? Whatever you got to do, right? The families get here, right? What do you want? This, And I get it. It's not so much the Giants state. It's not like they built it where they can designate stuff and everything. I get it, but what are you guys going to want to eat? What are you guys this? What do you? If they're coming in, you take care of them, right? That's huge. That's huge. Because let's not forget, I understand, it's the player has to want to play here and all that and everything. But, it's also, the family. Take care of the family, right? Take care of the family. Let's see. The grade is the same as a year ago. The ranking isn't as good as a year ago when the Giants were 15th. Food dining area, grade B, which ranks 17th. That's sad. That's really freaking sad. Once again, the grade hasn't changed since 2024, but the ranking is down from number 8. Nutritionist and dietitian, grade C+, which ranks 31st. A trend again, the same grade as a year ago, but the ranking dropped from number 27. So basically, I guess the Giants stayed pretty much the same, but some of the other teams got better. Let's see here. Locker room, C-, which grade 23rd. The grade dropped from a C+ in 2024 to a C-, and the ranking fell from 17th to 23rd. Players report that the locker room needs renovation. They feel the room is dated and needs larger, more functional lockers. Players are 100% right. The locker room of the Giants training facility is a blah. cramped place, the lockers aren't big enough, and the center of the room is crowded with the makeshift lockers for practice squad players and guys during the year. It is an utilitarian, whatever place, and isn't really large enough for players to be comfortable. So that's Training room, B-, which ranks 22nd, down from B-, ranking 12th a year ago. Training staff, grade of B, which ranks 19th. This one will likely get the Giants' attention. It is a clear sign that something changed and that it was not for the better. The grade is down from an A, an A-, and the rank fell precipitously from number 2 overall. So it fell from an A- down to a B. So not good. Especially when you got training staff, you got guys, nothing but guys get freaking injured. That's very bad. The weight room is a B-, down from a B and a rank of 18th. So what the weight room went from an 18 to 24th overall. I mean, this is just sad, really sad. It's another space in the Giants facility that has remained relatively the same for years now, though some of the equipment and how the space is divided have been revised. Strength coaches, A-, which ranks 15th. The grade moved up slightly from a B+, with the ranking staying the same. Team travel, they got a B, which is 18th. This is another area where the Giants fell significantly from 2024, dropping from a B+ grade and a rank of number 3. They fall from a 3 to 18. The NFLPA said that players feel that their team travel schedule is not very efficient. 2024 schedule included a Germany trip and one to Seattle. So, head coach, B+, which ranked 21st. But players' view of Brian Daboll is not as favorable as it was. He was an A-. His ranking was 13th. So he went from an A- to a B+. So, but ownership is C+. There's a drop off from a B+ grade and a ranking of number 14. Maybe it's just the price of losing, which is true. So they went from a B+ to a C+, the ownership. Now they got, let's see, is this there? Okay. Giant players reveal bold Brian Daboll take in the NFLPA report card. All right. Simply put, the Giants failed in 2024. They cut their quarterback in midseason, endured a 10-game losing streak. They won 3 games but couldn't tank correctly. Well, anyway. Everyone's on the hot seat. The future at quarterback is uncertain. Fans are tired of a regime and owner that have failed to make a deep playoff run since 2011. And naturally lends itself to pessimism, especially given the negative reaction to head coach Brian Daboll and general manager Joe Schoen getting to keep their jobs for one more year. However, Giant players revealed a bold Daboll take on the NFLPA report card. Giants dropped to 20th overall from 8th last year. Giants' highest rated categories are their strength coaches and head coach Brian Daboll. Based on feedback from last year, the team improved family accommodations by adding a stadium family room. Areas needed improvement include a dated locker room, outdated hot and cold tubs. I mean, come on, man. I mean, come on. I mean, we're talking hot tubs here. Come on. You're worth $7.3 frickin' billion. Come on. I mean, once again, I don't know, because it's not necessarily like the Giant Stadium. Mr. America just walk in and just start, pick this bunch of seats up and move them over there, and pick this column up and move it, pick the field up and turn it side. So I'm not exactly sure what it's all involved, but I mean, we're talking outdated hot tubs and stuff. I mean, I don't get me wrong. For me, just to walk into a place and just change out 10 hot tubs would be a little expensive for me. But we're talking the Giants here. I mean, as I said, I don't know if Mr. America just walk in and just pull out the charge card and just get 10 new hot tubs in there or something like that. But I mean, Jesus God, I mean, come on, And the thing is, too, is it's outdated. Okay. Well, I mean, one thing they did do, they added like a family room for last year. I mean, each year if you can maybe upgrade something, like maybe this year, right? Hit the locker room, right? Spend whatever you need to update the locker room, get the what if you can't, Now I get it. The locker room's only so big, It's whatever. It's whatever, 50 by 50. I don't know, whatever. So it's tough to take a locker that's this big and make it 3 times the size for all 50 players. It's kind of tough because the locker room is only, unless they're going to jackhammer down a wall or something and knock, and make the locker room bigger itself or whatever, which may not be possible. But I mean, they should certainly each year attack a certain area or 2 areas or something like that, because the Giants obviously have a lot, lot they got to worry about. Let's see here. New York gave Dable a B+, albeit come on a lenient grading scale. They ranked 21st out of 32 coaches. 90% of the Giant players feel that their head coach Brian Dable is efficient with their time, a rank of 22 out of 32. Players feel that Dable is moderately receptive to locker room feedback on the team's needs, ranking 22nd out of 32 head coaches in the league. Giants were graded pretty well given how poorly they fared in 2024, suggesting a roster-wide trust in the staff and that a disproportionate amount of the team's issues fell upon the quarterback position. With that 3rd pick, they'll have the opposition to address the position, changing the team's fortunes for the better in the coming months. The team is also interested, obviously. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Matthew Stafford and all that and everything. But, so Giants, they took a step back, which is obviously oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, sorry, pal. I'm sorry, buddy. My dog Randy here, he's at my feet. And I move my feet every now and then. He's laying down there. Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, pal. You go back to sleep. Boy, but the Giants certainly have some stuff they need to take care of. That's for darn sure. Especially, I mean, if it's so important. I mean, to bring in, some of these, free agents. I mean, the Giants already have 1 foot in or 1 step in, 1 foot in the grave or whatever you want to call it. I mean, because their field is just, it's not very tempting to a lot. I mean, of course, the almighty Do-Re-Mi is very, but the Giants don't got a lot going for them right now. That's for darn sure. They can probably use a miracle, right? And I just this one I came up there and I seen this, and this is just something that you can just I can't. I'm not going to go over every player and all that stuff and everything. A big reason you can't blame Mr. Matter for keeping Shane and Dable, but one of the things he was trying to do is keep some kind of continuity, some consistency there and all and everything. And one of the things that you're finding, unfortunately, is with turnover causes problems, right? Now, obviously, one of the problems, I mean, as I said, I can, if we want to go back over, over the past, 10 years, I can be here for probably 9 years going, But I mean, one of the things is with turnover, with your GM, head coaches, offensive, defensive coordinators, and so on, right? But we'll start off with the defensive coordinator, okay? You had Wink in here, and of course, you had I guess kind of like the 2 alpha males or whatever, Wink, right, commanded the presence and attention and all that stuff, and I guess it didn't always sit well with Dable, and Dable, I mean, you read stuff, sometimes like maybe Wink went behind Dable's back or as far as with his coaches and and all that stuff and there, so it's, it was maybe not always the best situation, right? So when Wink and, Dable, they, good that they, I guess, parted ways, right? But the thing is, when you bring in somebody new, right? Like you had Bobby Okereke with Wink, brought him in, right? He, Wink was the coach, right? Brought Bobby Okereke in, right? And, he got a lot out of Bobby Okereke. And you can also look at like Jason Pinnock too, right? Seemed like, with Wink, he used Pinnock to put him in, maybe put him in his optimal position to be successful, shall we say? Quite often, it seemed like some of those guys maybe took a step back this year in the Bowen run defense, right? Like a Okereke, with 2 years ago under Wink, seemed like a Okereke was like, all over the field. Yeah, sometimes it was kind of like, he got 5-6 tackles, or whatever. It's like, it was where he was getting double digits. But Wink, he's got 5, 6, 7 tackles here with, so same thing with Pinnock. It seems like now, may not even bring the guy back, right? It seemed like he did pretty well with Wink, but now under the Bowen, didn't bring somebody new in, right? Some of these guys are like now a square peg trying to shove them into a round hole. Doesn't always work out. I'm not sure why we wound up re-signing Isaiah Simmons. I mean, did Bowen really get a whole heck of a lot out of him on the defense? No, right? But I mean, you can go, on and on and on, right? I mean, right? Reese drafted OBJ, right? Seemed like one of the first things that Gettleman wanted to do. He wound up signing him to a new contract, but after that, I mean, I don't know, it was like about 45 seconds after he signed him to a new contract, traded him, right? He brought in a new GM, right? It was like, OBJ, yeah. I didn't draft him. He ain't my guy. Bye-bye, right? You look at like Saquon Barkley and Will Hernandez, who was almost darn near almost was number 34, pick number 34, which obviously is almost the first round pick, right? We had Will Hernandez for 4 years, right? Gettleman drafted him because 2018, right? So he was 2018, 19, 20, 21, right? 22 or whatever rolls around, I mean, don't bring him back. That's, right? Same thing with Saquon, right? I mean, you draft, Gettleman drafts him. Shane, they tried to they tried to keep him around. They did franchise tag him. They actually offered him a contract that was just about equal to what the Eagles paid, and he turned it down. I guess maybe he thought he was worth more. And then when he turned it down, he found out, I'm not worth that much. So then when the Eagles wound up, he took that off. You know what I mean? But, so maybe it wasn't a top-notch priority to keep him, right? Same thing with like Daniel Jones. They did sign him, but then they wound up releasing him, right? But I mean, you could go over so many of these guys. So many of these the players, right? Like maybe you can look now at like Darius Slayton, or you can look at Xavier McKinney, right? Shane didn't draft Xavier. Now, I mean, was part of it because to be fair, some of it, Shane comes from the way he was taught, or the position. Not the position, to being a GM, to value certain positions more than others, right? So maybe he valued the edge rusher more than a safety. But I mean, you can look a lot of guys, just like not be signing a lot of guys. I mean, right, possibly Darius Slayton will be gone, right? It's we had our guy who led the team in like receiving, had over 700 yards year in and year out, except for one of the years he was injured. But and now it's like we just don't seem to find I mean, obviously, I get we got Wandale, right, and we got Malik Neighbors, but it also kind of goes to show you, right? We had Darius Slayton here, who's leading the team a lot of times in receiving yards, and now they're bringing in other guys, their guys, and they're pushing Slayton down, and now he's probably going to be out and gone, right? So getting back to Mr. Mara, I can certainly see where there's understandably where he doesn't want, because I mean what's going to happen, right? I mean, we're trying to build a team right now, right? Now, as I said, unless we get another Bill Parcells in here or something like that, just they're few and far between out there, right? But I said the first thing that's going to happen, right, is if he lets gets another GM in here. I mean, once again, unless you get a fantastic GM in here, are there fans? Sure, but are there a lot of them out there? Right? So, and also this is Shane's first rodeo as far as being a GM, so he's learning. He's made some mistakes, but he is learning too, right? But I mean, if he were to get rid of Shane, if he was to get rid of Dable, right? I mean, that means Bowen will be gone, right? I'm sure. You don't know about Kafka. You don't know if the Giants would try to re-sign Cat or maybe make him the coach or something like that. That's a possibility, right? So that's not sure about it. But a lot of the guys will be gone, right? The new GM comes in, the new coach comes in, and then we start looking down the roster. It's like, well, we got Andrew Thomas. Okay, yeah, we're going to keep him. We got Sexy Dexy. Oh, yeah, we're going to keep him. What I mean? We got Malik Neighbors. Oh, yeah, we're going to. So you got a certain amount of guys. They go, oh, yeah, oh, no, we're going to keep him. Absolutely. But then they're going to look at, how many other players on the roster, the 53 or whatever, the practice squad, they're going to be like, that ain't my guy. I don't want it. So they're going to be letting, and they've been bringing all these new guys in, and it's just going to start all over again, right? And that was one thing Mr. Mara was talking about, was he wanted some type of continuity there. He keep turning the roster, basically the roster over, right? I mean, they're trying to build, right? They're trying to fill in the pieces and all that stuff. And so he's given Shane, Now, to be fair, last year the draft class was very, very good. Now, let's see if you can duplicate that again this year. That'd be fantastic. Because the top 5 guys he got last year were starters, right? Tough to think once again if he could draft another 5 guys, right? And they'd all be starters, but we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, if he can knock it out of the park once again with his draft class, I mean, at least get another 3 or 4 real solid players, that would be huge. That would really, really be huge. So, for everybody, obviously, who wants, I understand, Shane to be gone. It's so easy, right? Yeah, you get one year in there, and then the second year, if the second year is like a dumpster fire, just get rid of everybody, right, and bring in somebody new. And I get it. That's the way we all feel like that. Believe you me, we all feel like that. It's the easiest thing, just to get rid of everybody. I get it. But sometimes it's maybe obviously the toughest, maybe the most painful to go through, but sometimes give the guy a chance. Give the guy a chance. I mean, a lot of it also too is like it's what have you done for me lately, league, right? When was the last time you won me a Super Bowl? Right? So, but let's not forget, Dable was the coach of the year. Let's not forget that, with a very crappy team, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if we can get a quarterback in here and see where we go from there. But I can't totally blame Mr. Mara for wanting to keep Shane and Dable. intact here for at least another year or so. Right? All right. And obviously keeping things intact, this will be, I think, is our 5th running back coach in 5 years. He was a good hard-nosed running back in his NFL days, right? But I mean, every year a running back coach is gone. I've got to bring in a new one. Let's see how long this guy lasts here. So the Giants did bring in. Let's see where we at here. There we go. There we go. Okay. Liddell Betts to leave the Hawkeyes coaching staff to join the New York Giants. Good for him. Liddell Betts is leaving the Iowa football coaching staff to become the New York Giants running backs coach. Dan Dugan of The Athletic and Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network were among the first to report the news. Giants made the hiring official later on Monday. Betts has been Iowa football's running backs coach since 2021. Last season, he helped Caleb Johnson become one of the best running backs in college football. All right. Liddell Betts was an exceptional player for the University of Iowa and for 9 years in the NFL. I'll tell you what, you last 9 years in the NFL as a running back. I'll tell you what, that's pretty impressive. Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz said via a statement Monday, he developed into a highly respected coach by building strong relationships with players first as a high school coach and when he joined the Hawkeye football coaching staff. Since he returned to Iowa, he has been a consummate professional, sharing knowledge and experience freely to the benefit of everyone in our program. It is no surprise that an opportunity like this came along. The New York Giants are getting a tremendous coach and an outstanding person. We wish him well. So let's just dying to wait and see how long Mr. Betts winds up staying with the Giants. Obviously, a lot also has to do with, as I mentioned prior, with Mr. Mara keeping Shane and Dable around. Now, of course, if he winds up cleaning the house, right, Betts might be bye-bye. So, but since returning to his alma mater as a coach in 2021, Liddell Betts has been in the charge of arguably the best position on a struggling offensive unit, with tight ends being the only other group in the conversation. Two of Betts' players have gone over 1,100 single-season rushing yards. In 2024, Betts' group, along with the breakthrough of the offensive line, almost single-handedly shouldered the Hawkeyes' offensive improvement. In just 4 seasons on the job, Betts has helped guide his share of individual success stories at Iowa. Tyler Goodson, who was 5th in the Big Ten in rushing yards in 2021, is now in the professional ranks. Johnson set the single-season Iowa freshman rushing record in 2022 with 779 yards on the ground. LaShawn Williams had the most productive season of his career in 2023. Then Johnson took it to another level in 2024. He put together a historic stretch of production, posting single-season program records in points, total touchdowns, and rushing scores. After a September game against Troy, Johnson was asked what he had taken his game to the next level. I'm not going to lie to you, John said. Coach Betts, just him being on me consistently about the little things and what I can be if I do the little things right. So me just taking that to heart. Betts was once a Hawkeye running back himself. He finished his Iowa career as a prolific rusher with more than 3,600 yards on the ground, which ranks second in program history. Betts was also part of a crucial transitional period in the program. Hayden Fry retired at the end of Betts' second season in the program, leading to the hiring of Kirk Ferentz. It wasn't without growing pains, but Betts helped lay the foundation for future success on the Ferentz era, which has become exceptionally consistent. Only twice since 2000 have the Hawkeyes had seasons with a winning percentage below 500. I don't think he was a big talker when he was here in school, but he was one of the toughest guys I ever seen. Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz said of Betts last season. I still tease him about to survive the 99 season. I think he had over 4 yards a carry. I don't know how he did it. We couldn't block anybody, so I was teasing him about that. He was like a crash dummy running up in there. Betts, who had a lengthy playing career in the NFL, now is headed to coach a new level. Makes for even more transition to a running back room that has already lost its star in Johnson. The Hawkeyes also saw the departure of LaShawn Williams during the 2024 season. Let's see what we got here. All right. So, Giants are hiring, obviously, Liddell Betts. The Hawkeyes are known for a ground-based offense, and Caleb Johnson led the Big Ten with 1,537 rushing yards, 6.4 yards per carry, and 21 touchdowns. Last year, Joel Thomas' relationship with the Purdue running back coach helped to unearth Tyrone Tracy in the 5th round. Right? It will be interesting to see if Betts provides any inside information on prospects like safety Sebastian Castro or guard Connor Colby. So let's not forget about that. So, let's see. If the name Liddell Betts is familiar to Giants fans, it's likely because he was a former running back himself and was drafted out of Iowa by Washington in the 2nd round of the 2002 NFL Draft. Betts played until 2010 when he retired and got to coaching and hired in 2021 to be Iowa's running back coach. So, but also with Mr. Betts too, an interesting thing, little side note here, and that's nothing too crazy, but just a little side note here, was if you remember, right, the Giants started off 2-0, right? I'm sorry, 0-2, 2007, right? I mean, they gave up 80 points. I think they gave up 17 points in the 3rd game of the 2. So they, in 2.5 games, they gave up, their defense gave up almost 100 points in 2.5 games. They gave up 45 points. I was at that game. I was in Dallas. We lost 45-35 to the Cowboys. Very entertaining game. Except if you like defense, because there wasn't much of that. It was like up and down the field. So it was a very, very, very exciting, entertaining game. But the Giants lost 45-35 in Dallas. And then the 2nd week we lost, what the hell was it, 35-13 or 35-14, whatever it was, to the Packers, right? So we gave up 80 points after 2 games. So then we were losing, what the heck was it, 17-3, I think it was at the half. We were in Washington. Right, first game was in Dallas. Second game was in we played Green Bay at home. Then we went to Washington to play the Redskins because they were the Redskins back then. So at halftime, I think we were down 17-3. I think it was. When we came back, we took the lead, and that's when we had that goal line stand. The Redskins got down the field and marched down the field, and they got down. It was like what was the 2-yard line or so, and it was 4th down, and who they give the ball to? Liddell Betts, and he was the one that got. He was going to the left, and his legs got taken out. And he fell down. The Giants had that goal line stand, and that really seemed to help propel him. You know, they were 1-2, and almost saved their season. So they were going to wind up losing that game. You know, I mean, the odds of starting a season 0-3 and making the playoffs. Not it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult. So the Giants will wind up being 1-2. But on that goal line stand on 4th down, the guy who had the ball in his hands, they got his legs taken out from him. That he got tackled, I guess, like the 2 or the 3. It was Liddell Betts. So, but he's done some very, very impressive things in college with Iowa. Right. I mean, you think of Iowa. I mean, Iowa's running. I mean, you don't think of Iowa as like, the greatest show on turf or something like that. Iowa, you don't get, where Ohio State, gets the 5-star wide receiver recruits and all of that, the 1st-round picks and all that. Well, they don't get that at Iowa, right? Only Ohio State gets that, the wide receivers. Well, so Iowa, they pound pounding the ball, right? So he's done a very good job there, right? There's what 4 seasons there: 2021, 22, 23, and 24. So he's going to bring his game now to the pros here with the Giants, and right with Tyrone Tracy, right? It's going to be interesting to see, right? Very, very interesting to see, especially if the Giants are going to start. I don't want to say pinching pennies or whatever like that. If the Giants start getting rid of some guys to try to free up some money, kind of wondering if Motor Singletary is going to want to be in the future for the Giants or not. But that's one thing at a time. But so the Giants got themselves Liddell Betts, and I'm pretty excited about him coming on board. So we lost the one guy. He went back. He went to New Orleans. Yeah. So howdy. What's up, brother? Cowboy number 66. All right. Then, of course, right? So, of course, Joe Shane, I did Dable, wasn't speaking to the media. I'm sure he wasn't upset about that at all. But Joe Shane on Tuesday, right? He spoke to the media, right? A big crowd there, a lot of people there, a lot of people talking to him. So he went over a wide variety of questions. Of course, the first one I got asked was about Saquon. Would you do it over again if you had? I'm so sick and tired of talking about that, but I'm sure Joe Shane is sick and tired of talking about that too. But he handled it very, very well. He did very, very well. But he was up there. I don't know what it was like for 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, somewhere around there. And a lot of questions asked him. So takeaways from the general manager, Joe Shane, at the Combine. More than 300 prospects are gathered here at Indianapolis for the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. But the draft is far from the only topic on the minds of general managers. Simultaneously, the league is gearing up for the start of free agency in just 2 weeks. Wow. Giants have made it clear that finding their quarterback of the future is a top priority, and they will address it through the former or latter, or both. Needless to say, there were plenty of questions for Joe Shane at his pre-combine press conference on Tuesday morning. Here's everything you need to know. Shane said this week is a good time to feel out potential trade scenarios and time frames for other teams on making deals. That will help them map out the spring. Giants will look under every rock for a quarterback and explore every avenue. If they draft a young quarterback, Shane would like to pair him with a veteran to show him how to be a pro. So, obviously, the nice thing, if you want to draft in somebody, right? So the thing is he got free agency first, right? So that's going to kind of tell you, right? Because, just saying, if we sign Matthew Stafford, right, you bring him in for whatever, right? I don't know if we're going to be going after Ward or Sanders. Bring Stafford in here. I'm sure he's going to want, he's not going to come in for a 1-year deal. I doubt it, especially when he has quite a few suitors after him, right? He's not going to come in there for a 1-year, $50 million deal or something like that. It's going to be, a few years, or at least 2 or 3. So, it'll kind of let you know. If the Giants bring in maybe Jameis Winston, right? I'm cool with that. We're not going to the Super Bowl next year. Jameis Winston would put in some excitement without question. He'll throw you in games. He'll also throw you out of games. But I'll tell you what, the guy can throw the ball. He can throw some interceptions. The guy can throw the ball. The guy can throw some touchdown passes. The guy will get some points on the freaking scoreboard, right? If we can block for him, right? If Wandale stays healthy, Malik stays healthy, especially if we can draft maybe or get another wide receiver in there or bring Darius Slayton back, we'll get some points on the board. It's who do we get in free agency? if you get Jameis Winston, right, somebody maybe, or Justin Fields, maybe you can see somebody like, that one of those guys, maybe a lower price guy. You can see that possibility that they might be going after maybe Ward or Sanders or somebody like that. But if we were to bring in, we're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers in just a second here, but if they were to bring in Stafford, right, then maybe you're looking at maybe somebody, maybe bringing in, drafting somebody, maybe obviously second round, third round, or something like that. If they, somebody to bring in and bring them up through the ranks, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. One of the things was he did talk about, did anybody call him on the phone asking him about doing a Hard Knocks, like the off-season one that the Giants did last year? He said, nah, nobody's called him as of yet. And he said something along the lines, I think they kind of know what I would wind up saying. He's not a big fan of it. He goes, obviously, because what happened, especially with Saquon this year, right? Shane looked very foolish. He stuck to his guns. You got to give the man some credit for that. Of course, hindsight's 2020. It was one of the stupidest things that we ever could have done, right? But he stuck to his guns, right? He said, running back is only worth this much, whatever. I'm only going to pay, and that's it. Once again, one being really, really bad, But I mean, going to the Eagles, it was the best situation for Saquon. The money, the offensive line, the weapons. We got a great defense. They won the Super Bowl. So why not put, being the absolute best thing for Saquon. But just made Shane look really, really ridiculous, right? And the thing too is that even his son, he was asked his daughter, who do you want me to draft? And he wrote it down. He asked his son, who do you want? He's like, Jaden Daniels. Oh, okay, yeah. So his son knew. But like I said, we weren't. The Commanders were not trading back with the Giants. That wasn't happening. Not happening. Let's see. There we go. Okay. We have the resources to improve the roster, and that's what we're excited about this time of the year. Shane was asked about veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford, and he did the politically correct thing, right? He said, you have to ask the Rams that. He's under contract with them. So that would be a question for the Rams. So Giants will have free agent conversations this week while they wait for the official salary cap number. GVR, Van Roten, Darius Slayton, and Jason Pinnock are set to become unrestricted free agents. 2 weeks from now, the roster will look different, obviously. But you figure those are the big guys. The Giants quite possibly might want to lose. Now, I'll tell you what, if Van Roten wants to come back, I'm all for it, without question. I would still like to see if we can upgrade the guard position, but get the guy in here. With the injuries the Giants wind up having, there's probably a really good chance that GVR would wind up playing somewhere along the line this year, even if he starts off as a backup, right? But to get the guy in here on the cheap, he did fantastic last year for it. I wouldn't be bummed about that. The thing is, obviously now we, with Slayton and with Pinnock, and what I mentioned about before earlier, like first portion of our first portions of the program here, right? Is that with Pinnock? Is like, he did good with Wink last year. It seemed like, is he kind of a little lost in the Bowen system? Did Bowen consistently put him in best situations to be successful? Maybe, he seemed like he did better under Wink Martindale than he did last year, right? So you bring in a new coordinator, maybe somebody like, unfortunately, like Pinnock, he's not an all-pro or nothing like that, but, somebody like Pinnock, right, maybe becomes expendable because you got a new defensive coordinator in here and doesn't use him maybe to his best abilities, shall we say. So now we might be looking for another safety. And now I guess maybe with the addition of Malik Neighbors and Wanda Robinson, right? Maybe Darius Slayton might want to go where he's also going to make some money, but also become a little more involved in the offense. I mean, I forgot what the numbers were. It was like 300 and something targets, or 300 for 5 or whatever it was, targets that Robinson and Malik had last year. That's a lot of freaking targets for just 2 guys, right? So Slayton's numbers came down, his targets came down. Yeah, so he might want to go someplace else. I'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Joe Shane on quarterbacks. We're going to look at all options. We're going to look at all options. He must have said it twice. It's the most important position in football. We need to look through the free agents, the trades, the drafts, whatever it is, and we need better play out of the position. Giants have done a lot of work on Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, but there are other quarterbacks throughout the draft. I'm excited to get around those guys as well. Shane noted he's looking for quarterbacks who can perform in the gotta have it moments. On quarterbacks, we're going to look at all options. We're going to, let's see. Oh, they just put this on there twice. All right. Because of injuries, the Giants played 4 quarterbacks in 2024 and 3 in 2023. So it would be nice to have one guy out there who can give you the best chance to win games and also stay healthy. And the thing is it's not even so much, it's like, like in 2023, right? We had Daniel Jones, right? And then we had Tyrod Taylor. Then he gets injured, and we got Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan in there. And then Daniel Jones comes back, and he gets injured, and Tyrod Taylor's back in. Or then Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan was in, and then Tyrod Taylor. It's like, so it's not we had 3 guys. I mean, we had 3 guys with different, but I mean, it was like, it wasn't like Daniel Jones played the first 5 games. He got injured. Tyrod Taylor played the next 5 games in a row. He got injured. And then Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan finished the last 7 games. I said, no, it was like Daniel Jones for a couple of games and Tyrod for a game or 2, and then Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan and Daniel Jones in there for 1 game, and then Tyrod Taylor in there for, it's like, yeah. Almost the same thing as what's kind of this past season, too. Shane will talk to representatives for all 31 other teams, including general managers, not just about draft trades. Conversations are also about potential cap casualties and trade candidates. You can't manufacture finding the right quarterback. You can't draft a quarterback just to say you did it. The Giants are going through the process right now to determine if there is one of them at number 3 or elsewhere. You can't reach. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, if they got their board and Shedeur Sanders is the 4th ranked guy, just saying there. Well, yeah, that's not a reach. You take, if Cam Ward, say Shedeur gets taken 1 and they got Cam Ward as number 5. Well, that's not a reach. You know what I mean? But if they got Cam Ward as like number 20 overall, and they got Shedeur Sanders at like number 35 or something like that, that's a reach at number 3, right? That's something you can't do, right? I mean, if you look at PFF, right, their top 100 players, right, on the draft board, they have. The last time I looked, Cam Ward was 17 or 18 overall, meaning there was like 16 guys who were better, not at the quarterback position, overall better. And they had like Shedeur Sanders. I mean, he was easily in the 2nd round as far as, right? I mean, there was like 30, 35, 40 guys better than he was. Yeah. So that would be a reach, right? If you have PFF has Shedeur Sanders at like 35 or 40, and you take him at number 3, that's a reach. That's not good. Let's see. And this is, I guess I can't blame him here either. Shane said he will never downgrade quarterbacks for not throwing at the combine. I'm okay with waiting for the pro day. Right? Shane played quarterback and receiver in high school and college. His son is also a quarterback. He understands the difficulty of throwing with unfamiliar receivers. Right? On Dexter Lawrence's dislocated elbow and Andrew Thomas's foot, 2 key veterans who ended the season on injury reserve. Dex is good. You saw him at the Pro Bowl, so I'm assuming he's good. I haven't seen him physically. He can play tug of war, so he's good. And we're going to talk about Andrew Thomas here in just a little bit. Brian Dable took over offensive play calling duties last season. Will that be the case again? Shane has not discussed it with him over the last couple of weeks. Ultimately, that's going to be his decision. So, Shane said that's his decision. Mr. Mara has also brought that up as well, too, as far as Dable, maybe giving off the play calling duties. I mean, we didn't do too bad. Right, did we set the world on fire or nothing like that in 2022? No. Right? Did we have unbelievable targets to throw the ball to? No. We had Saquon in the backfield, right? But, we were able to make it to the playoffs, right? We kept calling the plays. Now, it didn't seem phenomenal, but, we made it to the playoffs with kept calling the plays. And that would free up, right? Dable. Right. I mean, you look at, Parcells, right? You had guys calling the offensive plays, the defensive plays, right? It frees you up. Not everybody can do it, right? Or somebody can call the plays, right? But it hinders them as far as being a head coach, right? So some guys are just good at calling plays. Other guys can call plays and be head coach. It is what it is, right? But that's something to certainly think about, without question. But I'm sure that's going to be one of the questions going forward. Every time somebody talks to Dable, without question. Who's going to be calling the plays, right? All right, now we got. Now, if Stafford gets signed. 5 Giants who won't be back if Stafford gets signed. Now, some of this is going to be, you got to figure he's going to be, going to have to do with some money. Because the thing is, you figure, right, is that if we were to just say we drafted Cam Ward, number 3 overall, if he's there, we drafted him number 3, right? You got to figure, he's on the rookie deal now. Of course, the pick number 3, I think, is around like $8 million a season. So, you're talking. Nice little chunk of change there, right? But and of course, you have his 5th-year option. You can pick that up as well too. But $8 million compared to like $50 million, that's a big difference. Now, if the Giants were to bring in Stafford, right, he's going to want 45. Oh, he's seeing stories that he's going to want at least $50 million a year. Okay, so whether you can get them at 45 or 50 or whatever it is, we'll have to wait and see. But of course, if they sign him to 3 years, right, 3 years, whatever, $150 million, $100 million guaranteed, right, whatever, you make it where you can get out after like 2 seasons, right? But you give him a sign-in bonus, you break the sign-in bonus up into 3 years, right? So this year, his salary cap cap hit this year instead of being 50. Maybe it's only 40, right? Next year it'd be $50 million, or in 2 years it'd be $50 million. The last season his cap hit would be 60. But then again, of course, the cap's going up. So it's not that bad, right? But I mean, if the Giants are trying to, bring in somebody like Stafford, obviously they're going to want to try to, jettison some players that'll save themselves some money, right? So, all right. So, 5 New York Giants who won't be back if Matthew Stafford trade pulls true. A Stafford trade would undoubtedly lead to a lot of Giant roster turnover. See, now this because this is one of the things, right? This is as I've said before, the thing I just can't stand the Eagles. Absolutely can't stand the Eagles. But see, the thing is, where this would cause a lot of turnover for the Giants, right? It wouldn't necessarily for the Eagles. Because the Eagles sign a guy, right? What do you want? Okay, yeah, $50 million, sure, whatever, right? They put a bunch of void years on the end of his contract, so a lot of the money they owe him, or it all gets pushed down the road, right? So if the Eagles signed Matthew Stafford to a 3-year deal, it would really be like a 7-year deal, 3-year contract, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 void years on the end of his contract. So they push all this money down the road. So that's why they can afford a Matthew Stafford, pay him $50 million a year, but he only goes like $15 million toward the salary cap because all the money is all pushed down the road, right? Giants don't do that, right? So the Giants, if they were to sign him for 3 years, guarantee him $100 million. After 3 years, that $100 million, if they let him go after 2 or whatever, something like that, right? The contract, the money is all off the books in 3 years. It's not 800 years down the road like the Eagles do, right? We're not like that, right? So that's the only way the Eagles can win a Super Bowl. They have to bring in a bunch of guys that they can't afford and put a bunch of void years on the end of the contract so they can afford them on the team because otherwise they couldn't afford them. But I said the Giants don't do that, right? So the Giants, would definitely, try to jettison some players, right? I mean, Graham Gano, right? Nacho, right? Save some money, maybe even Motor Singletary. But so the Rams are allowing Matthew Stafford to talk to other teams regarding a trade. While this does not mean that Stafford is for sure going to get dealt, it does open the door to a deal being made. One NFL team that has been linked heavily to Stafford, perhaps more than any other, has been the New York Giants, and it isn't hard to see why. Giants are in dire need of a quarterback after releasing Daniel Jones midway through the 2024 campaign. And with the team sitting at number 3 overall in the upcoming NFL draft, they don't control whether they can select one of the 2 best options on the center. If they don't draft a quarterback, a Stafford trade might be the next best option. He'd certainly give the Giants their best chance to win right now. Yes, he would. The Giants are able to pull off a Stafford trade. Several players who are part of their team in 2024 almost certainly won't be part of the 2025 team. It might finally be time for the Giants to let Darius Slayton go. Darius Slayton has spent all 6 of his NFL seasons with the Giants after the team selected him 5th in the 5th round of the 2019 draft. And he's been a consistently solid weapon for New York. That alone is impressive, especially when most of his tenure was spent with Jones under center. Unfortunately, Slayton's numbers took a bit of a hit this past season, as he recorded 39 receptions, 573 yards, and 2 touchdowns in 16 games. It was pretty clear that New York's third option at the receiver position behind Neighbors and Robinson. While he's fine in that role, the Giants could use a better number 2 option to pair alongside Neighbors. Assuming the Giants get that, Robinson would be the number 3 option, and Slayton would be barely a factor, which is true. And if Slayton is barely a factor, you don't want to bring the guy back. I mean, I seen Spot Track PFF. PFF? I think it was PFF. Said, he might get from 10, 12, 13 million or so a season. So the Giants want to bring him back, right? With like 10, 12 a year or so and have him be like maybe on the sideline. No. Right? At this point, it feels like this is a good opportunity for both sides to get a fresh start. And I'm sure Slayton feels the same way too, especially if he can go to a contender where he can get some playing time, right? I'm sure he feels that way and make some money, right? Tim Boyle's Giants tenure will be predictably short-lived. All the turmoil in New York's quarterback room led to the Giants eventually adding Tim Boyle late in the season. He appeared in one game for New York, completed 12 of 24 passes for 123 yards. Unfortunately, that kind of showing has been par for the course for Boyle at the NFL level, as he has completed just 60.5% of his passes over the course of his career and has nearly triple the amount of interceptions, 13 as passing touchdowns, 5. Giants could choose to bring Boyle back in the third quarterback role, but even then, they can almost certainly do better. Ojulari will receive more money than the Giants should be willing to pay him. Azeez Ojulari might not have ever lived up to the promise he showed in his rookie year, but he did not just put together his second-best NFL season in 2024. The 24-year-old recorded 6 sacks in just 11 games, played along with 7 tackles for loss and 10 quarterback hits. To put it simply, he was extremely productive when he was on the field. Ojulari's strong season will earn him quite a bit of interest on the open market. Well, so will his injury history, too. Giants should undoubtedly be one of those interested teams, but considering his age and the amount of promise he showed, he will likely get more money than the Giants can afford to spend, especially if they pay Stafford a substantial contract. Giants have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence entrenched on the defensive line. There aren't many strengths on this Giants roster, but up front is certainly one of them. Even without Ojulari, assuming he gets a hefty payday, the Giants will likely let him go. Giants have little reason to keep Devin Singletary around. Singletary will forever be known as the guy that the Giants chose to replace Saquon Barkley. What makes that distinction worse is that Singletary was only in control of the New York backfield for the first 4 weeks of the season before Tyrone Tracy took over. Tracy was one of the few Giant bright spots from this past season, as he rushed for 839 yards on 192 attempts with 5 touchdowns. He averaged 4.4 yards a carry, which is exceptionally impressive considering the lack of talent on the offensive side of the ball and the 10 different starting offensive line units they had too. And the thing is that, the first so many games of the season, first 4 games, 5, whatever it was, the Giants pretty much had the same starting unit in there, and they did pretty well. The wheels started falling off right around like game 5, game 6 when guys started getting injured. So we had the 10 different starting, so we had the first few weeks, we had like the 9 different starting offensive line units in like the last 10, 11 so weeks. It's almost like every other week there was a different starting unit in there as well. Doesn't help much with the pass protection. Doesn't help a whole heck of a lot either when it comes to running the football either. So that 4.4 yards a carry when he was the starter with every other week, every week, the new starting lineup in there on the offensive line. So, I ain't saying the guy's Barry Sanders or nothing, but pick the dude up in the 5th round. That's pretty impressive. I'm pretty impressed with that. All right. Tracy, especially as the Giants running back of the present and future, New York could elect to keep Singletary around at a fairly reasonable $6 million cap hit. But they can probably receive a draft pick by trading him. He isn't a necessity to keep around as a backup, and trading him allows the Giants to save some money and potentially add more much-needed draft capital. Drew Lock won't be back regardless of what happens with Matthew Stafford. This isn't as bad as Singletary, but Lock will forever be remembered by Giants fans as the guy who ruined New York's chances at earning the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Lock had one of the best games the Giants quarterback has had in recent memory in Week 17 against the Colts, leading New York to a victory, and all but eliminating any chance the team had of earning the top pick in the draft. While Lock was obviously impressive that week, his numbers otherwise were quite underwhelming. The 28-year-old appeared in 8 games and started 5, with the Giants going just 1-4 in those starts. He completed 59.1% of his passes for 1,071 yards, 6 touchdowns compared to 5 interceptions overall. So, there's no reason for the Giants to bring Lock back regardless of his role. They can get a younger option in the draft or a better option in free agency. Whether Stafford comes or not, the Lock era should come to an end. So, I mean, the thing is, like, if you bring in Stafford, I mean, without question, there's going to be, quite possibly, just the fact just to save some money. I mean, because as I said, if we're bringing in Sanders or Ward at pick number 3, that's like an $8 million cap hit. $8 million, $8 million, $8 million, $8 million. For the next 4 years, $8 million a year, right? I mean, that's something the Giants can live with, right? You bring in a Stafford, I mean, they can live with that too, but they're going to have to start jettisoning some players. Maybe we do some salary cap. Some of the guys, some of the, like Brian Burns or John Runyon Jr., some of the guys, their salaries have to redo them a little bit to free up some extra money. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Then we got, of course, very interesting here, right? Very interesting. Aaron Rodgers actually reached out and talked to the Giants. Wow, that's a desperate dude right there, I'm going to tell you. Well, course, I mean, obviously, if this was 10 years ago, people are calling him. He's not, or maybe not him, maybe his representatives or whatever, reached out to the Giants. Now, of course, what I was also seeing a lot of, too, was that, now how true this stuff is, who knows, right? But I was seeing a lot of Stafford to the Giants or Stafford to another team, and then Aaron Rodgers being linked to the Rams. You'll figure that one out, right? It just seems like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, he won the Super Bowl after the 2010 season, and ever since then, I mean, might have been MVP of the league and stuff like that, but even when he does get to the playoffs, he doesn't make deep runs. So, I mean, he has a couple special moments here and there and stuff like that in the playoff. But I mean, look what we did last year with the Jets. I mean, they had supposed to have a good defense, but I mean, offensively, he had some weapons. But so I don't know. Let's see. Oh, this is it. Okay. Aaron Rodgers reached out to the New York Giants for potential signing with them. Interesting. Aaron Rodgers likes New York, the New Jersey, so much he's open to the idea of signing with the New York Giants. In fact, according to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, Rodgers reached out to the Giants to gauge their interest in signing him. Rodgers has spent the last 2 seasons with the Jets as parting ways with the gang green when the new league year starts, and the Giants are in the market for a veteran quarterback regardless of what their 2025 NFL draft plans are. Juiciest rumor from the Combine so far, Aaron Rodgers has reached out to the Giants, which, if true, suggests he's not getting much of any interest from contenders like the Steelers, which is that's a possibility. It's unclear if the Giants are interested in the 41-year-old Rodgers, as the team has their sights set on trading for Matthew Stafford, but Rodgers could be a fallback option if the Stafford trade does not work out. Now, also one thing too, right? I mean, is that Rodgers is they don't have to trade for him, right? The thing is, with Stafford, they would have to give up something. They're gonna, it's just they're not giving up the 3rd pick overall. But they're going to have to give up something for Stafford. It takes 2 to tango, right? The Giants, the Giants were interested. I'm sure they could free up $50 million or whatever, $50 million bucks a season for Stafford. But they're going to have to part with something, right? They're not going to do that with Rodgers, right? But the thing is, I think, seems like to me like it's tough. You got to keep both these guys upright, without question. Right? They keep getting pummeled. It doesn't matter. Jesus Christ could be back there. It ain't going to matter, right? But I mean, I think kind of maybe with Stafford might have a little longer shelf life. I don't know. I mean, you can see signing Rodgers to a 3-year deal. He's 41. I don't know about that. I can see signing Stafford maybe a 3-year deal, getting out after 2. Just seems like if you bring in Stafford in, you can have him maybe for give you a few years, right? Aaron Rodgers is kind of like, like 1 year at a time kind of thing, so. And of course, ain't gonna come cheap either, right? He's gonna want his money. So they're gonna want his money. All right, let's see. Latest Aaron Rodgers rumor leaves the Giants with one obvious option. This is funny. This is from GMNHQ. It's from Matt Sidney, I guess it is. Joe Shane should ghost Aaron Rodgers. Wasn't long ago when the Giants were making the playoffs and leading the organization to the Super Bowl. The roster had talent, the coaching staff was respected, and the front office made reasonable decisions. The organizational construction led to 2 Super Bowls and some of the best days as a Giant fans. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Much like those Giants, soon-to-be former New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers can relate pretty well to the good old days back in the 2010-2011 season Rodgers led the Green Bay Packers to a Super Bowl title, and since then he's perennially been considered one of the few quarterbacks able to lead his team back to the highly coveted title game until he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I mean, what is it? I think the 49ers, I have his number, gets knocked out all the time. He is, he's got to the championship game, but he just never made it. Never made it. Right? I mean, after that 2010, right? In 2011, they were 15-1. That wasn't even a championship game. The Giants went into Lambeau Field and beat them up, beat the Packers up. Giants and Rodgers might have more in common than they'd like to admit. From the late 2000s to the mid-2000s, both were viewed as legitimate Super Bowl caliber threats and garnered the respect of the NFL. It's funny how drastically things can change. Fast forward a decade or so, and both are seemingly irrelevant and stuck reliving the past, holding on for hope that better days lie ahead. While for one of them, better days are ahead, and for the other, it's looking like the end of the road. Or is it? The Giants are better off leaving Aaron Rodgers on the road. Yep. In a surprising NFL Combine twist that was reported by Pro Football Talk, there is a persistent rumor swirling around that Rodgers' camp has reached out to the Giants brass to gauge interest in signing him in free agency. He said he is looking for mutual interest and a good team in his next team. Yeah. A lot to unpack there, so let's try. Rodgers is no longer an MVP-worthy player he used to be. He hasn't been for some time. If his time with the Jets was any indication of what he brings to the G-men, it's going to be a hard pass. Rodgers looked old, and he didn't move as well as he used to. He couldn't elevate a team many deemed playoff ready. He had led the Jets to 5 wins in his second season after tearing his ACL in his first season. He'll be 41 years old, and Father Time is undefeated. Aaron Rodgers already looks defeated. Sure, the counting stats didn't look all that terrible, which is true, especially to Giant fans. But empty stats that don't bring in wins are just as useless as the paper they're counted on. He ended the season with 3,897 yards passing. Not bad. 28 touchdowns. Not bad. And only 11 interceptions. Once again, not bad. Those are better numbers than any Giant quarterback has seen in a minute. But is this the best New York can do? It feels like a stretch. General Manager Joe Shane has already gone on record saying he will do anything and everything to bring in a quarterback, either through the draft, trade, free agency, or any two of the three. But this the move he should make. With the Giants of mutual interest, and are they really a good team? I mean, honestly, you look at the weapons that Rodgers had last season. I mean, even brought Devontae Adams in there. I mean, right? I mean, he had some weapons to throw the ball to, right? Still couldn't get him. Right? I mean, some of it was also a little bit on, I can't remember every game they played all, but the defense was at times was a little disappointing. I mean, the defense was supposed to be really good, right? So I think some of it was kind of like maybe at the times that Rodgers and the offense scored some points, the defense kind of let them down. Or there was times that the defense kind of kept the other team down in check, the offense sputtered out. And it was always, it seemed like it was always one or the other, right? But I mean, the Jets were supposed to go to the playoffs last year, right? 5 wins. It's not a power-packed division. You got the Bills, right? I mean, the Dolphins with 2 of the problems they were having there. I mean, they were not super duper spectacular. You got the Patriots, right? And they had 5 wins. Let's see. While Rodgers would most likely come in on a cheap short-term contract, this feels like a move Big Blue should avoid like the plague. Sure, Rodgers is better than Daniels, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito, but is that the bar? He was supposed to mentor Zach Wilson, but if Wilson's disastrous development with the Jets is any indication, it's hard to believe he would be the guiding hand a young Giant quarterback would need. Rodgers reaching out only proves one thing: this team is still a quarterback away from relevance. That quarterback isn't Aaron Rodgers. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if there was, if there was that much interest in him, are they really reaching out to the 3-win New York Giants? I mean, they need a quarterback, obviously, but I absolutely not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think I'd have to agree. I think that'd be a hard pass for me anyway. Rodgers, is 41. I mean, they do say that although your second year coming back from an ACL, you move better, right? You're back to almost normal, and sometimes they say you might even be better than normal. Right? Usually, you tear the ACL, you recuperate, you're able to come back, but that first season you're still not up to speed. Right? Usually, they say a lot of times that second season. But is that the chance the Giants want to take with a 41-year-old quarterback? And I mean, we got to keep the guy upright, right? And also, he's one of the guys. He talks a lot. He goes on podcasts a lot. He doesn't always say the right things and stuff like that and all and everything. I think he just might be more of a distraction than anything else. All right, and then finally, I want to talk about something on a positive note, I guess, to some degree here, right? Update on Andrew Thomas. Now, Shane was talking about him, right? So, obviously the season-ending injury, right? The problem is that unfortunately, the past 2 seasons, right, has not been very kind to Andrew Thomas. So, there's quite possibly there's death, there's taxes, and quite possibly maybe Andrew Thomas. Hopefully not, but Andrew Thomas is going to keep getting injured. The past 2 years, let's say. What do we got here? All right, it's a shame, man. We finally got ourselves a stud of a left tackle. Now, once again, he'll only be 26 years old, right? I mean, still very young, right? But if you look, right, in 2023, he missed 7 games. 2024, he only played 6 games, so he missed 11. So he's missed 18 games over the past 2 seasons, right? Is this going to be a continuing trend? PFF, right? Obviously, his last full season, he graded out over a 90, which is just unbelievable. I mean, it's phenomenal, right? 2022, he played 1,173 snaps. He graded out at a 90.3 overall. He only gave up 4 sacks all season long. Really, really good. Fantastic. Now, last season, he graded out a 75.4. Now, the one thing is that one thing you don't know, right, is that, his injury, right? It wasn't so much, I got injured, I'm out of the game, I'm getting operated on. No, it was like, he got injured, and, you're not sure if the foot was sore, and he was playing on it for a game or so. I mean, I'm not sure if you're ever going to find that out, and then it was just, the final straw, and it's I can't play on this anymore. So was he playing injured for a little while, a week, couple weeks? Because let's see his last. He did not really have a phenomenal game last year. I mean, Minnesota, he graded out a 76. Against Washington, week 2, he graded out a 79.8. Against Cleveland, that was the Myles Garrett game. He gave up 8 pressures. So I'm not sure if he was 8 pressures. He can give up a sack. He gave up 3 hits and 5 hurries, according to PFF, right? So to give up 8 pressures, Andrew Thomas, 8 pressures in a game, right? Then week 4 against Dallas, right? He graded out a 75.6. Week 5 at Seattle, he graded out a 70.4. Week 6 against Cincinnati, his final game of the season, he graded out a 73.8. He gave up 2 sacks. So, I mean, he was injured and he was playing on it, and it was just, I just can't play anymore after the game was, right? 2023, obviously, he's coming back from the hamstring injury. Right? He graded out a 76.1. But when he was healthy in 2022, 90.3. Right? But the thing, as I said, is that, is this going to be a continuing trend where he continues to get injured? We'll have to wait and see. And I said, I'm sure that MetLife turf is not doing him any justice, or not just any good, shall we say. But Joe Shane, right, provided an update on Giants left tackle Andrew Thomas rehab. He's trending in the right direction after having his 2024 season cut short due to a Liz Frank injury. So, left tackle Andrew Thomas is definitely on the mend and on the track to be available for the team's critical upcoming 2025 season. Cool. That's according to Giants general manager Joe Shane, who spoke to the reporters at the annual NFL Combine on Tuesday morning. I think it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I think he went on. Andrew Thomas has been in the weight room, Shane said. He looks phenomenal. He looks huge. Now, let's hope that huge means, muscular and not, hasn't been moving for the past 5 months and he's really looking fat. But he said he looks phenomenal. So I'm taking that he's really looking good. Thomas suffered the season-ending Liz Frank injury 6 games into the season last year. The injury required surgery and his placement in a walking boot, which Shane revealed the offensive lineman has since shed. Has since shed the walking boot. It was the second straight season Thomas, who missed 7 games in 2023 after suffering the hamstring injury in week 1 that season, missed a chunk of the campaign because of an injury. Hopefully, it's not a ongoing thing. Thomas, the team's first-round pick in 2020, signed a massive 5-year, $117 million extension just before the 2023 season that included what was, at the time, a record $67 million guaranteed money. This is one of the things. Thomas has easily been the Giants' best offensive lineman when healthy. He had his best season in 2022 when he was named the second-team All-Pro. He's there, certainly wish nothing but the speedy recovery. Hopefully he'll be ready for the 2025 season. But you're kind of hoping that this is not the thing the Giants have to keep enduring. I mean, that's one of the problems. I mean, it is what it is. These guys put their lives on the line all the time and everything. But sometimes that's the price you want to pay for an organization, meaning like you guarantee all this money, and then the guy winds up getting injured, and he winds up only playing half the time, and you guarantee him all this money. It is what it is. But I wish the guy nothing but the best. Let's hope he can stay healthy. I mean, I said that the thing that just like kills me. It's just like some of these teams, they just. They stay healthy. They're relatively healthy, almost like year in and year out. And the Giants just don't seem to be that. I mean, I'm not sure if it's the turf or exactly what it is, but these injuries just absolutely kill you. And it's just such a shame because it's like, we got, like last year, one of the best left tackles, if not, I don't know if you want to go back to, Brown. Rosie Brown, right? Maybe it might be the best of all time. Probably the best of all time. But you got to go back. He retired 60 years ago, right? Roosevelt Brown. So probably the best left tackle we've had in 60 years, right? And then not only that, but like with Dexter Lawrence, right? I mean, he could quite Nah, Weinmeister, Arnie Weinmeister. He's to me he's the number 54. He was. He played 4 years for the Giants from 1950 to 53. He played 4 years in the NFL, and he's in the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame. Arnie Weinmeister, he's the best defensive tackle the Giants have ever had. But he left the Giants in 53. You're going to play in the Canadian Football League. So we're going back, 70 years. But Dexter Lawrence is the best defensive tackle the Giants have had in 70 years, right? And it just seems like we're wasting their talents. Shame. But not only that, wasting their talents with, bad football and all that. But, hopefully, it won't be a recurring theme, these injuries, right? Hopefully Andrew Thomas can actually stay healthy for the season. It would be great. But I mean, Sexy Dexy he got injured. It is what it is. And, between those two, I mean, obviously every down there's contact, on every down. So there's always a good chance of injury, but it's just such a shame between those two. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 36 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Everybody much going to spend any time watching the replay. Just once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.